So on the morning of February 10th, 2002, I was a brand new firefighter with North County Fire working down at Station 5 in Bonsall. And mid-morning we were dispatched to a vegetation fire on the north end of Fallbrook here. And I'll never forget that drive northbound on South Mission Road coming up into the Fallbrook area and just seeing this huge wall of smoke blowing off to the west. We're in the Edgewater area of Fallbrook right now off of Santa Margarita. And I'll never forget driving down into this area and watching the fire licking the back porches and eaves of the homes in this area. Many homes were already burning, others were at risk of burning. The residents were still in the area attempting to evacuate, and we brought resources in here as fast as we can, but we quickly realized that the speed of the fire and the intensity of the fire was going to be a lot more than we were going to be able to control.
My name is Dorothy Roth, and I have lived in Fallbrook for 42 years. I think my reaction, like almost anybody's reaction who would be in this situation, was, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. That morning, the wind had been blowing very, very strong at my house. I was at that time, I owned and operated the tennis club in town, and we had a men's match scheduled for that morning. And I'm driving into town and said, there's not going to be any tennis today. Got into town, complete wind still, complete calm. I forgot all about it. And a couple hours later, I get a call saying, where's your house exactly, from an acquaintance of mine? And I told him. He says, oh my God, the fire's going. I said, the fire? So I dropped everything and went home. It was very harrowing experience. And my husband grabbed my hand and we went around the house to the north side. And there's about 4 steps down to the pool area. And the flames were at the steps. But we really didn't have much choice. So we just he grabbed me and pulled me. And if he hadn't been there, I would not be here today. If he hadn't showed up, I would not be. And after the fire was over, there were several of us that trying to figure out what steps, what do you do next, So we decided, well, primarily Tracy Ragsdale was the real force in that. She no longer lives in Fallbrook, but set up the 501c3 Fire Safe Council so that we would try to give people information that would help them be better prepared for this kind of an emergency or any kind of emergency.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the first steps. What do you do when your house is gone? What do you do? So it's really important to keep always hounding on the fact of preparation. I think that the Fire Safe Council has really helped. One of our very first projects was to set up and make the evacuation map. We went around to neighborhoods and had the neighborhoods get together, and we talked to them about the importance of, number one, in Fallbrook, having exit routes.
Yeah.
Look around your house. Here's your normal way, but what if that's blocked? How can you which groves can you go through, or which, become more aware.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very productive and very good. We have periodically community workshops, and we always like to include an insurance speaker. Because most people don't know what's in their insurance policy. This kind of awareness is really, really important. And I think more and more people are becoming aware of these things. And that's very, very encouraging. As far as some of the other things the Fire Safe Council does, very important, is emphasize the importance of defensible space.
Yes.
Defensible space is very good, but you must maintain The main thing about defensible space is that you make sure there's no dead branches and there's no debris that's easily ignited, that kind of thing. That is as important as actually doing the defensible space. We, the Fire Safe Council, keeps plugging away, doing our little projects and getting our talks out there and passing out maps and brochures and this kind of thing. And that's good. People say to me, why do you spend so much time there? I said, well, if my efforts will prevent 2 people from having to go through what I went through, then it's worth it. Even if I've talked to 1,000 people, it's worth it. And so that's the concept, and that's the attitude of our Fire Safe Council. And we really work hard for a little group.
So it was 20 years ago now that what we now call the Gavilan Mountain Fire started, and I was here on a Sunday morning, and there was a Santa Ana, but we hadn't had fires previously, so I wasn't too concerned until I saw some smoke, a little bit of smoke. Somebody was burning brush or something in a persimmon grove, and it was like, okay, not a big deal. But then I looked out the window from my house, and it was like, wait, that's not just smoke, there are flames. And when I saw the flames, and the Santa Ana somehow just kicked up right then, and those flames just like started, running their course. Then my mom was here, who was 84 years old, and dogs, and I'm like, we gotta watch this. This could be dangerous. And then the wind shifted, and once that happened, I just watched, the flames coming head on toward us. So we said, we've got to get out of here. We put the dogs in the car. My mom got in the car, started heading out. By this time, the road was covered with smoke, and we made it outside the gate, and the Burtons, our neighbors, were coming back, and they stopped us and said, hey, we can't get through, the road's on fire. And at that point, we headed back here and decided this was not a good place to be. And I remember from the fires up in Los Angeles, one way when people were trapped, which we were, their last resort was getting in a swimming pool with wet towels over their heads so that the flames could blow over, they could still breathe through their towels. And so I grabbed a bunch of towels, and we drove to the nearest swimming pool, which was a couple houses down, picked up some of the neighbors on the way, and there were like, by that time, probably 6 of us and 3 dogs. So made it to the neighbor's house, and decided to stay in the house until the flames got really close, and then we would head for the pool, because there was so much smoke, it was really hard to breathe even. There was a trail in back that I knew of, and my 85-year-old mother was trying to hobble along, keep up, but there was a stairwell, a wooden stairwell that I had the dogs on a leash and Mom in one arm, and we went down the stairwell, which was already on fire. It was like 15 steps. We couldn't touch the railing because it was, it was burning. And made it to the trail, and again, lots of smoke, and Mom thought she wasn't going to make it. I pretty much had to drag her. But we made it to the pool. Everybody else was there. In the meantime, they remembered one other neighbor who was by herself, and Ann Burton went over and got her in the pool with us as well. So there we were in the pool, freezing because it was not heated. Nearly 45 minutes went by before the flames just really raged through there, and one of the neighbors actually gave everybody the last rites. He thought we were goners, and somehow we did manage to stay in the pool, and then a fireman or somebody, I think it was a fireman, showed up and said, come on with me, I have a pickup truck, you can get in. So 8 of us piled in the pickup truck and drove us to, headed for the hospital, and because we had been breathing, smoke. One thing I'm remembering as well, that because the dogs went to kennels, the dogs kept getting embers in their fur, so we had to keep splashing water on them. And one of the dogs didn't stay with us in the pool. We decided she was going to head for home, and so at least two of the 3 dogs survived. But going to the hospital, we were coming down Santa Margarita, and it was like Armageddon. It was amazing. Where like 2 hours previous, these houses were all standing, everything was fine. And then when we drove through, we drove by, it was like a war zone. There was, the fire truck that was still smoldering, and evidently they had come to try and rescue us, and their truck caught on fire. That's how hot the fire was. And they bailed out and came up to our house, I think, as I recall, and fought the flames back with a garden hose. And just unbelievable. But we did make it in the back of the pickup truck, all 8 of us with the dogs, and to the hospital, and were treated for hypothermia and smoke inhalation. But we made it out, and just with so much gratitude for all the neighbors helping out. What we've done since then, we've had really good integration with the fire department. They've come out on numerous occasions to show us ways that we could protect ourselves, more, and protect our houses, and keep the roads clear, so that fire trucks could get in the event that they needed to. So that was has been a big help for us, and it really brought the neighborhood together. We started a buddy system where we'd be accountable for each neighbor on either side of our houses, and that has been really effective. And I think just opened up communication with us to really address the fire dangers as a neighborhood, and kind of held each other accountable. It's like, hey, your hedges could be trimmed a little more, they're kind of hanging over the road. And again, with the support of the fire department, they encouraged us to do that, so that's been a real help. And there have been, a couple of fires since then around here, but again, they've, been nipped before they got to any degree of danger. I think there was one evacuation I wasn't here for 2 or 3 years ago, but other than that, the fire department's done a great job in educating and bringing communities together, and I think we're seeing that perhaps throughout the community. There's more awareness, and it's alive in all of us. Those that have been through a fire, how traumatic it can be and scary it can be, and just how powerful a fire is in a Santa Ana wind, and something hopefully we won't have to face for a while, but if we do, I think we're more prepared than ever to make it through safely.
Since the Gavilan Fire, we as the San Diego County Fire Service really have made great strides. That fire for this community really was a sentinel event. It was one of the first major wildfires that this community had seen, and it was a real eye-opener of what can happen. Since that fire, we as the fire service have enhanced our community outreach, our communications, our collaboration, our training, our resources. We are just better prepared today than we were all those years ago when the fire hit. So if another one were to come into our area, we would be much better prepared to fight that fire and to handle that major emergency than we were 20 years ago. We've made great strides. When these fires strike our community here in the Fallbrook, Bonsall, and Rainbow area, it's very personal for us. Many of us in the North County Fire Protection District live here in this community. So it's our friends and it's our neighbors and our fellow townspeople that are affected by these devastating fires. So what all of you can do to help us is ensure that your properties are fire safe, that you have defensible space around your homes, that your homes are fire safe, and that you do all you can do to help us protect your homes. So please visit our website at ncfire.org for all kinds of great information related to fire safety and home safety for you and your families and your neighbors.